Welcome to This Explainer. Now, right before we dive into today's topic, I just want to share a really quick personal note. Over the last 5 years, I've put together nearly 500 videos for an absolutely amazing community of over 8,000 subscribers. You guys are incredible. But keeping it real with you, because of some pretty harsh Google regulations, I've actually had to give up on the whole monetization side of things. It is what it is. But honestly, that's not going to stop me. I am still here, and I'm going to keep right on sharing incredibly useful custom tools with you all. And today, we are looking at exactly that kind of tool, the Agent Postmortem Kit. This is an early v0.1 technical preview, but it introduces a super important concept, investigating what your AI coding agent is actually doing behind the scenes. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the silent failure problem, compare postmortems to standard traces, peek inside this v0.1 preview, break down the anatomy of a postmortem, look at building next-run skills, and wrap up with current limits and safety. Let's get to it. Section 1. The silent failure problem. So when we all first start using AI agents, we naturally obsess over the prompt, right? Like, how do I write the absolute perfect instructions? But once you actually leave an AI running autonomously for a while, you slam into a completely different wall. And that wall is this. What exactly was the AI doing while you weren't looking? You can't just look at the final output anymore. You absolutely have to know what happened in the middle. Think about the typical loop of an AI coding agent. It reads some files, runs a few shell commands, maybe hits an error, silently retries a few times on its own, and then, eventually, it proudly claims, "Done." Now, on the surface, that looks like amazing automation. But behind that really simple success message, there's often absolute chaos. If we just blindly trust the word "done," we are missing some critical stuff. Did it execute dangerous commands? Is there an actual lack of evidence that the tests even passed? What about those silent failures it just repeated in the background? To catch these things, we desperately need post-task accident investigation. Section 2. Postmortems versus traces. This is exactly where the Agent Postmortem Kit comes into play. But I want to be super clear about how it fits in with incredible existing tools that are already out there. Tools like AgentTrace are absolutely phenomenal. They are fantastic for checking your local AI agent history, execution time, API costs, and live token usage with a great interface. So let me emphasize, the Postmortem Kit is not a replacement for AgentTrace. It is definitely not an upper version or a competitor. They actually complement each other perfectly. While the trace is awesome for live tracking, the Postmortem Kit focuses entirely on what happens after the job is over, extracting failure patterns, risky actions, evidence gaps, and then converting those into candidate rules for the very next run. Section 3. Inside the v0.1 preview. Okay, I have to be incredibly strict about this right up front. This is a very early v0.1 technical preview. It is not a finished product. It is absolutely not a production-ready observability platform. It is just a minimal tool built right now to validate this whole concept of investigating logs after an AI finishes its job. We aren't doing flashy demos here. We're testing a real problem-solving concept. So what does it actually do right now? Well, it reads generic JSON-LL, JSON, text, log, or markdown files, and it uses some basic heuristics to detect a few specific patterns. We're talking about repeated failure loops, dangerous shell commands like a forced git reset, secret exposure risks, human approval signals, and unfinished work like leftover to-dos. These are all critical signals that a human really needs to review. Section 4. Anatomy of a postmortem. Let's dissect exactly what an AI accident investigation looks like. Now, keep in mind, we are using a completely synthetic, safe sample log here. This is not a real log, just a safe mockup. In this specific scenario, the AI fails an NPM test, gets stuck in a loop, panics, and forces a git reset hard, accidentally exposes a string that looks like a token, and then just leaves a could not verify to do before claiming it's finished. From that chaotic sample log, the kit generates two things. First, a static HTML postmortem report. This is purely for a human to open up in a browser and instantly spot the dangers. It simultaneously outputs a structured JSON report, which is great for downstream tooling or testing. Those silent accidents that happen in the background get completely highlighted so you don't have to manually dig through walls of messy text. Section 5. Building next-run skills. Now, just finding the failure isn't the end of the story. Honestly, if we just look at a failure and stop there, we've missed the point. We have to learn from it. The Agent Postmortem Kit takes these detected failure patterns and outputs a markdown draft called a skill candidate. Think of this as raw material to teach the AI a new rule for its next run. So you convert a postmortem finding into a strict next run rule or a verification command, ensuring the AI doesn't make the exact same mistake tomorrow. That is where the real magic happens.
Section 6. Current Limits and Safety. While the concept is super powerful, we really need a reality check on the current limitations. In the spirit of total transparency, right now there are no fully dedicated adapters for things like OpenClaw, Hermes, Codex, Claude Code, or AgentTrace. It just reads generic logs. Also, secret masking is heuristic-based, which means it is incomplete and cannot be fully guaranteed. Please do not mistake this for a perfect audit tool, a complete AI observability platform, or a production-grade policy enforcer. It is none of those things yet.
And that brings us to the most crucial warning of this entire explainer. Real AI agent logs are highly, highly likely to contain API keys and secrets. Never, ever commit real logs to public repositories. Because the secret redaction is just heuristic right now, human review of these generated reports is absolutely mandatory before you even think about sharing them. So, wrapping up, the main GitHub repository for this is currently private while I tinker with it. Because again, the real value of this project isn't in showing off some flashy demo. It's about recognizing and validating a process that is going to be absolutely mandatory as AI agents become the norm, post-task accident investigation. The more we rely on AI agents to do our heavy lifting, the more we absolutely must inspect their intermediate failures, their risky operations, and their unfinished work, not just the final answers they spit out. So I'll leave you with this. The next time your AI agent cheerfully says done, what exactly is it hiding deep inside your local logs? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.